The sweeping set of bans that the Chinese government placed on the cryptocurrency industry in late 2017 became an important part of a story that is still unfolding 2 years later. Now, in 2019, the actions that the Chinese government is taking are still having a profound effect on the cryptocurrency industry around the world. Recently, finance magnates spoke to Marie Tatibouet, Chief Marketing Officer at Gate.io, about the experience of navigating regulation in China as an exchange that was originally headquartered there, as well as the exchange's plans for the future and strategy in Asian markets. Marie, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do at Gate.io? How did you get involved with Gate.io?
Okay, so I originally got involved in the Bitcoin rabbit hole when I joined 21.co, and at the time I had a digital marketing agency, and it was kind of one of the ways that I answered questions and it helped me find clients. And I was earning Bitcoin because you earned Bitcoin on 21.co at that time for answering questions. And so I got interested in, how would I redeem this Bitcoin? And so I, got a lot more involved, did a lot more research. And then one of my clients was a crypto mining company here in China. So, I helped them do some marketing. And then I also worked with Gate.io and I helped them, do some strategy and some planning. And that was last year, at the beginning of last year in 2018. And then they were really interested in bringing me on as their CMO. So I decided to take this on. So I started a little over a year ago now. And I've just been helping them really expand their global operations and their global promotion. And since I got involved, we've launched a lot of different features on Gate.io.
Yeah, yeah, tell us about
We
those.
launched margin trading, perpetual contracts, which is futures trading. We also launched periodic investment, which enables people to invest X amount, say maybe $500 per month at a certain time every month, so that you kind of, because you're doing it over time, you kind of capture those highs and lows. You don't have to focus on the trading part yourself. So I think the most important thing to know about Gate.io is, we really started off serving just retail traders. And we always really focused on bringing a very easy to use user experience. And following that, once we really got that down pat and we had, say, 2 million users, we decided to really kind of build out all of our features. And that's when we added margin trading, perpetual contracts, margin borrowing, all of that kind of stuff. And we're en route to hit 3 million users at the end of this year. We're going to launch a lot more features. And in April, we launched our native token, GT, which will be native to the public blockchain that we're launching in December of this year.
So what will the role of GT be on the exchange? Is it something that'll exist only within the Gate.io ecosystem, or will it be tradable outside of that as well?
So GT is a cryptocurrency, so you can buy it on Gate.io, but also on Bitfinex, on Qcoin, on lots of different exchanges. So it is used as a cryptocurrency, but then we'll be launching at the end of the year our public blockchain, Gate Chain, which is going to basically be solving the two biggest issues of the industry through very advanced innovations. The problems that we're solving is first of all hacking. We're going to be able to prevent hacking from happening thanks to the features on our public blockchain, and user error. And the way that we do this is by putting a account. If you have a problem, then you can inform the platform, and the funds will automatically be put onto a temporary account, and then you will be able to retrieve them. So this kind of goes around the issue of the platform having access to the private keys, which is often the issue that most users have. They don't want the platform to have access to the private keys. But this is not the way that we're solving this innovation. We're transferring it to a temporary account, and then you put your own password there. And because we've done KYC and all that good stuff, we can make sure that it only goes to you. So that's going to be a really big innovation. And anybody who builds on our blockchain that we'll be launching in December will benefit from these two huge innovations. And so we'll also be using our public blockchain to fuel our decentralized exchange, which we will launch at the same time. And GT, our native cryptocurrency, will be used as gas.
Nice. So about this decentralized exchange, so there's a lot of talk, sort of, more and more exchanges are being built, even centralized exchanges that are non-custodial exchanges. And obviously decentralized exchanges are also non-custodial. So I'm wondering, moving forward, do you have any thoughts on how centralized and decentralized exchanges will coexist within this space, as decentralized exchanges and non-custodial exchanges in particular become more prevalent, perhaps?
That's a really great question, Rachel. And one of the things that we've really explored, and one of the biggest misunderstandings I see in the industry, is that users feel like centralized exchanges are trying to control their funds. And for any quality exchange, that couldn't be further from the truth, because actually these funds, if you don't own them, they fall upon our responsibility. So, on our exchange, on our centralized exchange, Gate.io, we always recommend to users to, if you're not going to use the funds to trade, go and put them on your wallet. Always make sure to keep your keys safe. We really remind them a lot about that, because any issue that they might have, we always try and make sure we're able to help them. And anytime we've suffered issues, we've always reimbursed the user. And we're really proud of the fact that we've always been able to do that. And we wouldn't want to get to the point where we're not able to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So making sure that users are taking responsibility for their funds is really important. So I think there have been a lot of exchanges who have, been really scammy, but I think in general, like with centralized exchanges that are reputable, they're not looking to control your funds at all. And any big centralized exchange is launching a decentralized exchange to help all of their users go over to the decentralized exchange. The only issue, of course, is until this year, decentralized exchanges were very poor in terms of technical capabilities. The matching is difficult, and you don't get all of the features like margin trading and all of that sort of stuff on decentralized exchanges. But technical capabilities are changing and advancing. We're really looking forward to launching our decentralized exchange. And right now on Gate.io, our algorithm can process as much as 10,000 transactions per second, which is like a lot more than we need, in fact. And we're looking to, really be able to have a high trading algorithm on our decentralized exchange as well. And one of the issues with a lot of these decentralized exchanges is that they are not technically capable.
Right, exactly. So switching gears a little bit, which geographies does Gate.io serve?
So we started off in China, and we have a lot of Chinese users. But we have also really grown over the last few years in regions like Russia, the US, Southeast Asia, and Europe as well. We were close to the US, Canada, and Japan for quite a while because of all of the regulation issues. And after carefully evaluating everything with our legal team, we're able to reopen it in in a certain frame. So all of the users on our platform from those countries don't have access to all of the different features, but we're still able to provide them, with much cheaper fees than a lot of regular other centralized exchanges. And I think in general, we found that our users really find our user experience very easy to use. Our mobile app is very responsive, and in general, you're able to match, the transactions, make the transactions very quickly.
Okay, so was Gate.io originally established in China?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. But now we operate worldwide.
Okay, so yeah, can I ask you? I think you probably weren't at the company at this time, but how did Gate.io manage to navigate the bans that came into the Chinese cryptocurrency space in late 2017?
Well, I mean, the ban is open to interpretation. If you know anything about China, you'll know that a lot of the regulation that comes through is always very much open to interpretation, especially when it goes to enforcement. So that's kind of how we navigated it. We've been very careful. We don't do any outward promotion on the Chinese market. We've really continued to grow on the Chinese market thanks to word of mouth. Our users, we've done studies, and when we check the number of page views that we have and versus the number of logins, we have a very high retention rate, and we've got very loyal users. So I think we've been through major challenges, especially when it came through hacking. We've always reimbursed all of our users when there's been that sort of issue, and that's only increased their trust of us. So our user base is really loyal.
Right. So Gate.io are you still technically incorporated in China, or has the headquarters moved somewhere else?
Our headquarters is in China, but we have offices in Canada, China, and Korea.
Oh, okay. The headquarters is not in China, you said. It was a little bit unclear.
No, that's correct.
No, okay, gotcha. So I want to ask you a little bit about, due to your familiarity and Gate.io's role in Asian countries and in crypto markets specifically, what are the, maybe perhaps the strategies for growing within Asian crypto markets specifically?
In Asian markets, there are a lot of people who are interested in cryptocurrency. Asia has a lot of young people, and I think they're also very technically savvy. So I would say more so than in other emerging markets. They're also having access to funds more and more quickly. So we're really seeing a lot of interest from younger people. And even if like today, they don't all have an enormous amount of money, they are getting access to funds quite quickly. So the way, we're onboarding them, and we're onboarding a lot of these users who are quite young, and our bet is that in the future they'll be more interested. One of the other things that we've seen, for example, we've got a lot of users in the Philippines, and a lot of the funds in cryptocurrency that go through the Philippines are for remittance. So we've seen a lot of that on that end. But in general, I think there's been a lot of interest from Asians in particular And yeah, there are a lot of new tech and a lot of new projects have come out of Asia as well. So yeah.
Right. So, Gate.io managed to raise $64 million through an IEO in April. Uh, was that then that was to fund the Gate token specifically? Is that correct?
So the way that we did, we raised funds for GT and for the Gate Chain platform is very atypical. We didn't do a regular IEO launch. What we did was raise funds through the purchase of Gate points. So Gate points are prepaid trading fees, and one Gate point is the equivalent of one USDT. And so back in April, when we first launched Gate points, people who bought one Gate point were given 2.5 GT as a reward. Okay. So in that sense, people didn't buy GT directly. And so we'll be distributing the rest of the GT that's available through Gate points for the next year. Right now, if you buy one Gate point, you'll get 0.4 GT, which all makes sense because obviously the price of GT has, very much increased since April, first of all. Mm-hmm. And second of all, we've also taken a look at a lot of the user feedback that we've been getting, and users have suggested that we burn some of the GT to, create a smaller supply. So we have been doing some promotions. For example, on September 11th, we'll be doing the Mid-Autumn Festival campaign, and we will be distributing 200,000 USDT worth of Bitcoin, and you'll be able to get it at a 20% discount. So you'll be able to, purchase a certain amount of Bitcoin at a 20% discount. And the way that it's going to work is you'll be purchasing it with USDT. The funds that we raise from that will be used to purchase GT on the open market, and then we'll be burning that GT publicly.
Right. Okay. So okay. Interesting, because it was sort of, reported as an IEO, but it actually wasn't an IEO. It sounds like, anyway.
That's right. And
yeah.
One of the big things also is I'd like to just add this. We raised 64 million, but a lot more funds were applied. So the way that we usually do IEO or discount campaigns or stuff like that is that we have everybody apply. So say, for example, you apply to purchase $1,000 of the latest IEO coin. We take a look at all of the people who've applied and all of the funds that they have applied, and then because we have a fixed amount of how much wants to be raised, we distribute maybe it'll be at a 5% rate, right? So out of the $1,000 that you apply, only 5% of that will actually be transferred in. And we do that to make sure to ensure fairness, so that all of our users have access to, participating in the campaign, in the IEO. So in fact, $64 million worth of GT were raised, but over $2 billion were applied to be spent over that month of April. So that was a huge amount. People really, like I said, our users are really loyal. They really believe in GT, in the future of the company, in the innovation that comes out of our company, and they wanted to support us. And they believe that GT still has a lot of room to grow.
So there's clearly, a lot more capital out there. Let's say that yes, could potentially have access to. So, you mentioned earlier that that Gate.io is has expanded a bit to to serve more institutional investors. Are there any other plans to expand in ways that would get take advantage perhaps of this capital interest that users and investors are showing in Gate.io?
I mean, I'm really interested in all of the stuff that's been going on with the institutional investors. I think like a lot of the, part of the reason that Bitcoin has rallied since the beginning of the year is because institutional investors have invested more in Bitcoin. And I think that's just going to continue to grow, especially after all of the regulations happen. So I'm expecting, to see a large increase there. And I think that Gate will definitely move in that direction as well. But in general, at our company, we're always really focused on providing a really great user experience. So what does that mean? Our values are transparency, security, and that's really important to us. We want to make sure that your funds are secure. We want to make sure that we're transparent with you. And we just want to make sure that you have a great user experience. We're not, looking to create our own projects. I think like there are some companies in the space that are looking to control everything. And that's not really what we're focused on. We're focused on giving traders the opportunity to trade cryptocurrency in the best way that's available to them.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple times security on Gate.io, and that's a very, obviously a very important part of what you guys do. But can you tell us a little bit about the specifics of the security operations that Gate.io has going on?
Sure. I mean, we have a top-notch cybersecurity team. We've also hired for GateChain. We've also hired top engineers from Alibaba and Tencent to make sure that we're getting the best of the best. So we have, a top-notch tech team, a top-notch cybersecurity team. We also do regular third-party audits, and we spend, tens of thousands of dollars on that every quarter. We also, following some of the issues that we've had in the past, we decided to take all of our tech in-house. So we don't use any third-party apps for anything. And then we just have all of the regular standard 2FA and Google authentication, all of that kind of stuff to make sure that the users, insure themselves also against what might be out there.
Right. And has, I ask this question a lot to companies that are based in the US and Canada. And I'm also curious, being a company that interacts a lot with Asian markets and therefore perhaps also regulators based in Asia. Have you had experiences with regulators like, either, contacting you in order to try and understand the security measures that, should be in place on a cryptocurrency exchange, or, perhaps have you had some experiences in which regulators are, trying to enforce a certain set of security standards? Basically, what is the regulatory stance like, sort of in that, in the countries that you've interacted with as far as security is concerned, or is that not really a concern for regulators at this point?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rachel. I think what we've seen, first of all, we don't trade fiat currency. So we don't usually come into contact with regulators directly.
Okay.
I'm sure that will change in the future. But I mean, we do KYC, And we make sure that all the funds that go through our platform are respecting all the AML laws and stuff like that. But because we don't trade fiat currency, we're not as involved as some of the other platforms might be. From my personal experience meeting regulators around the world, is that until maybe last year, I didn't meet anybody who really understood very much about blockchain technology.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I've met some people who are a little smarter. Some of them do really understand. Usually, they've hired. By now, in a few countries, they've hired blockchain experts, people who've been in the industry for a while. A lot of them tech, like developers and stuff like that. And they've hired them as, special consultants. And as a result from that, they're able to understand a lot better. In Paris, I've definitely seen some of that. I've also seen some of that in Singapore as well. But yeah, I think it depends. There's still a long way to go, I think, for regulators. And I think that's also why a lot of the regulation has been kind of on hold, because regulators have finally understood the importance of the technology, and they've understood that they don't want to regulate it as simply as they wanted to before.
Right. Yeah, and I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about this digital currency that's coming out of China, the People's Bank of China. Sometime originally they said on November 11th, but it seems like it's going to come later now. That. Do you think that this introduction of a digital currency, issued by a government, what do you think the effect is going to be of something like that? Because, a lot of people are like, this is like the silver bullet we've been waiting for. Everyone's going to start like using Bitcoin all the time because now a government is issuing a digital currency. But, maybe that could kind of have the opposite effect. It's, now that there's a digital currency issued by a government, maybe, that could cause some capital outflow from cryptocurrency markets. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on that?
When it comes to China, I mean, I do not think it will be delayed. If they've said November 11th, and November 11th, incidentally, is November 11th, incidentally, is Singles Day in China. So
Yeah.
it's like Black Friday in the States. So it's a huge sales day. The reason they chose November 11th is not by accident at all. It is for one of those for that reason. So in China, from my experience with seeing government regulation happen or not happen, in general, they've stayed pretty vague until which is what they've done until now, spreading rumors or whatnot. And but once they decide to do something, they'll come out with a press release, and this is what they've done. But there's a lot of details that they haven't mentioned. We don't know if it's going to be a private or a public blockchain, and I think that says a lot. However, the partners that they've used, Tencent, Alibaba, are the partners that they are the people who process payments all around China. You hardly ever use cash to purchase anything anymore. You make transfers on Alipay and on WeChat Pay. So, obviously they've chosen these partners. So I'm guessing that that's going to be incorporated. And I think my guess would be that it would be a private blockchain, but you never know. The Chinese government can be very surprising at times.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Well,
Marie, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing about Gate.io and also your insights that you have on Asian crypto markets and global crypto markets.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. I really love what you're doing at Finance Magnets, and I hope you keep up the good work.